Live. Hello,
Yay.
people. Anybody out there?
I haven't seen chat is ready to display messages. I'm going to go ahead and let him know on my Discord right now that we are live too.
Okay. It should be popping up on my YouTube. Trying to check here. I had 7 people.
Once it's all ready, go send the message.
Oh, shit. The ticker still says 0.
Oop.
2.
I forgot to send it without an exclamation point. Now people are going to think I'm being demanding. It's interesting how like an exclamation point now has been like now signifies friendliness.
Right. Hold on. Shit.
Let's see, I got a notification for you on Twitch. Check it out. Hey. Someone said hey. Hello.
Oh, hey, what's up, person? Doesn't seem to be popping up on YouTube.
Oh.
Yeah, which is, only the
biggest one.
Oh, yeah, all the audience. All right, we got two people so far.
Oh, hey,
That's
we're
something.
doing good.
All right.
Well, good evening, everyone. All 2 people.
Right. I got 10 people waiting in my thing in on YouTube, but it doesn't seem to be.
We'll get there. Oh, we got 3 people now. Hello.
Hold on 1 second. Check something here. I gotta pop out. I'll be right back.
Alrighty. Ooh, I'm on someone else's stream. I'm on Driven Progressive stream on my own. Hello. I don't know how many of you guys are here from my Discord or how many of you are. Oh, I had to pop out.
Oh, no. Okay, you're there.
Yeah, I'm still here. I was talking to people. No one was responding. Hey, R. Mendez. I don't know who you are from TikTok or Discord, but it's nice to see you. I'm glad that you came here.
Why is it not working? With
the technical.
Figured first time it would be screwed up like this.
Oh no, you're fine. Oh, Kalua. Hi, Kalua.
Yeah, it doesn't say I'm live on YouTube for some reason.
Huh.
I'm not sure why. Let me
Tonio is here. Hi, Tony.
Maybe I have to hold on. I think I got it. Give me a second here. All right, I think we're good.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, hello everyone. Tony. Welcome to the inaugural Driven Progressive live stream featuring guest, and today's guest is Tori Noodles. Is that how you say your name?
Tori noodles.
Tori Noodles, the one, the only, the infamous
Indeed.
Tori Noodles. Sorry, hold on. What the fiery fuck?
Listen, it's not like the beginning of something new if there isn't a fuck up every now and then, okay?
Right.
Add some spice to the mix.
Well, it said I don't know. It says we're.
Is YouTube still being weird?
Yeah, it says we're live, but it's not. It's like it's the wrong. It's like the wrong live.
Uh-oh.
Oh fuck! That's why. Okay. I had it on unlisted.
Oh, there we go. We figured it out. Well, you figured it
Yeah.
out. I just sat here
Yeah.
and drank my
Well, that
drink.
was stupid. I don't know why it did that. What a dumb thing. Yeah. Yeah. It
Curse
had
word bad. Oh, I'm
it
so
on
sorry for
unlisted.
cursing, y'all.
So like when you set it up, you can either go unlisted, private, or public. And I don't know why it was set to default unlisted. So when you go to look it up, yeah, doesn't say any of it. Okay, there we go. All right. So, famous TikTok star, lefty sensation, Tori Noodles. We figured we would have a chat about, politics, TikTok, everything in between. So I would say, I don't know, what is your thoughts on TikTok, kind of just as like a platform for politics, and do you think the discourse on there is helpful at all to actually further an agenda, a good agenda, a progressive agenda, and not just like screaming 14-year-olds saying epic poggers moment?
Oh, well, I think that, well, one thing I really like about TikTok is that it kind of.
By the way, can you guys hear it okay? Can we get a thumbs up and/or one in the chat? Thumbs up, something.
Let me know before I go on my big rant.
Okay. Right.
Well, not really much of a rant, more of an appreciation. But one thing I really like about TikTok is how it forces people to be concise and eye-catching. Because like we were talking about this earlier before we went live about how people are getting like maybe a headline of news a day or like 3 articles, because not a lot of people have time to be like that informed about the news or political philosophy in general. So like the way that TikTok's algorithm works, and like you only get 60 seconds to say something, it forces you to really choose your words accurately and be entertaining at the same time. However, the con to that is that it's very dependent on the algorithm. So sometimes you have to get a lot more inflammatory than you really are in order to get attention.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Most definitely. I mean, like most people know who have like come to my TikTok lives before, I'm a lot less, I guess, edgy on my lives than I do come off in my TikToks. But one thing I think a lot of political TikTok creators need to be more transparent about is how this is only a stepping stone to your own self-education and to you investigating on your own. Because people are only getting their information from TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter. So like it doesn't always like create a good environment to go in depth about certain subjects that do require a lot of nuance and depth.
Yeah, I think it gives you an opportunity to get a little bits of information about a lot, just because of the nature of, you know, the 60-second videos. So it informs you about things that, you know, you might not have otherwise known was going on, because somebody gives you a quick rundown of like, oh, hey, that riot that they said was in Portland actually wasn't a riot. This is what happened, or here's like some footage that, you know, of what actually happened, or something like that. But yeah, the as far as TikTok promoting like the 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 hyperbolic rhetoric, that is a definite, because, you know, you'll make a video about something as, oh, and you know, this is what happened with this, and then but then like when you stitch someone other creators video, and then you get their you know, their comment, you know, their people over to your video, and then it creates this drama. Like TikTok
Yeah,
wants to create drama. And
TikTok
then
is
and a lot of people, that is how they got big. Even people like, you know, Papa Gut, you know, other people that, you know, they all they do is just stitch videos and, you know, create these. I don't know who he's talking to, but she's based. I'll take that.
I'm so based. I like how we were just talking about how it's like, oh, well, like, is TikTok good for actual discourse and not teenagers going based poggers? Well, I mean, I think it's gotten to the point where it's kind of ironic at this point, at least on like leftist discourse, because you're a lot more familiar with how the right communicates on TikTok than I am. Because like the algorithm has created a bit of an echo chamber for me. I don't know what the
Right.
right is up to. I only like learned about like how paleo conservatives have infiltrated TikTok like just recently. And
Oh,
for
very
those of you
much
that
so. Yeah.
yeah, for those of you that don't know, paleo conservative is a dog whistle for being a fascist, because fascists know that it's not trendy, it's not cool, it's not sexy to be a fascist. So they have to come up with these new words that are a little bit less inflammatory to push their ideology.
That's what I hate about the, oh, well, this person's not a white supremacist, this person's not a white nationalist, just because nobody ever come out and outright said, hey, I'm a white supremacist. You know,
Right.
or if they did, they're not in like a public, you know, speaking role. They're not the head of some organization. Even David Duke, when he had an interview with Cenk Uygur, claimed he wasn't a white nationalist, and he was the head of the KKK. These people aren't going to come right out and say it. They hide behind fancy words like paleo conservative. Like Nick Fuentes is not anything except a, you know, racist white supremacist. But, you know, oh no, I'm stand up for American values and the nuclear family, and, you know, all the, you know, all
Yeah, and it
those
sucks
terms.
how cool and appealing those dog whistles sound. Because
Right.
then when people like us call it out for what it is, a dog whistle, they're like, oh, well, look at these liberals just making words up out of thin air. They're overreacting. They're so hysterical. And it's like, oh, great. It makes it harder for us to kind of prevent these ideologies from spreading further.
Well,
Um,
yeah, it makes it hard because they want it just to be so cut and dry. Like nothing in politics, especially really in life, is that black and white. It's just like, oh well,
no.
he's a white supremacist because he said he's a white supremacist. Like there's many layers, and I think that's one thing that the right is very good at doing, is they just, like we were talking about before we went live, is they latch on to these few like key phrases and buzzwords, and that is basically what their whole political identity is America, patriot, red, white, and blue. And we're over, you know, we're on the left, like, well,
And yeah,
actually, according
yeah,
to Marx,
we're
you know,
nerds.
it's like,
And
oh,
it's not, no one wants to go ahead and listen to a nerd, which is like
right,
where I guess sort of like circling back to the whole base pog thing and meme speak, is that like that's how we're able to kind of combat that, is not being afraid to meme on ourselves or be a bit self-deprecating. Or Western
yeah, you got
values,
to be
that's a
able to
really good
laugh at
point.
yourself.
Yeah, you have to. Like the whole Western values things, it's like, well, what exactly is that? Because I
Right,
mean, y'all ain't gonna include Latin America in that. I know that for sure.
right,
I know that for damn sure.
right,
Um,
right. By
but
Western values, you mean white people.
you mean white people? You mean that also includes Australia somehow? I'm not entirely sure.
Right. Did you see the guy, the head of the Proud Boys, well, like the front for the Proud Boys, he got fired or something, and
Wait,
a new white guy it came in charge, and I didn't see the whole story, but basically the Enrique Torrio guy, who was I think he was I don't know, Latin or something. I'm not exactly sure, but he was like the front man, and they're like, "Oh, how can we be white supremacists? That's our guy." But
you're a
apparently,
white Latino. You're a güero.
he got fired, I guess, and now some other guy was calling him a bunch of slurs on Twitter, and he's the new head of the Proud Boys. So they went full mask off, basically.
Well,
But
that's
see, even
another
it's
thing.
just like that. Like you go to any Proud Boys rally or any kind of event where they're at, you can tell where their head's at. You know, okay, well these guys are clearly anti-LGBTQ, anti anybody who doesn't look like them, and
But they'll
they're
have
not
like
afraid
one
to say it.
person of that group that they don't like there to be like, okay, guys, but we're not like those grifters that like will just go to protests that are like paid to be there or genuinely in a really bad position or at that protest. Because like the right has really weaponized identity politics. Because like
Oh yeah,
I've talked about how I don't think identity politics are an inherently bad thing. Because like it does have black socialist roots from like women in America, but the liberals and conservatives have gone with it and just absolutely ran with it, being like minority here, no
right.
racism, like or no
Well,
bigotry or whatever.
and that's what the neoliberal, establishment, that's what they do. They latch so hard onto, oh, Black Lives Matter,
Girl
here's a
boss,
sign. But what about policy? Black Lives Matter, here's a sign. We're gonna paint a
yeah,
street. Okay, what about like
right.
actual policy? We're just gonna paint the street. You know.
Like I did you see that Black Lives Matter like tweeted? I don't know, I think they also sent it to Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, a like open letter to them being like, "Hey, you need to meet with us during your transition to office so we can actually talk about how we need to address these issues that Black Americans are facing, especially because Black women and Black men showed up for y'all during the election."
Yeah,
Have you
very
seen
much.
that letter?
Black
Yeah,
women are the reason that Joe Biden won.
yeah, and
No,
then
I
like
didn't. I didn't see that though.
yeah, so they like did send out a letter. So I'm really hoping that Joe Biden, I mean, even though I definitely have some very fair criticisms of the Biden Harris ticket, if he's able to actually let the Black Lives Matter people into the White House and talk about it, and like actually get some policy done and not just do some more performative activism like the stuff you were talking about earlier, I will be thoroughly impressed.
Right. But yeah,
Mhm.
the first thing he needs to do is get rid of the border policies, the remain in Mexico, things like that. And I just do you ever read the American Prospect? It's like a good
No, I
lefty
need
outlet, news
to.
outlet. But they had an article yesterday, and they were talking about how there's 273 different things that Joe Biden can do strictly by executive order. Because if they don't win these runoffs in Georgia, they're gonna just shove that down your throat. That sorry, we can't do nothing. The right, the right, and their
Right.
hatred of everything. Which, yeah,
Guys,
okay, but there's plenty you can do. And the funniest thing is they've spent the last 4 years saying, "Oh well, Donald Trump's just destroying the country by executive order," and then they're going to spend the next four being like, "Our hands are tied. We can't do anything by executive."
yeah.
You know,
Joe Biden sucks, but he's not a literal Nazi, so we are here. Good take,
yeah,
Andrew Cotton.
pretty much. Yeah, that's that.
I mean,
That
because I like said in one of my
gets a
TikToks, I'm like,
that gets an on
yeah.
screener.
Oh hell yeah! Look at you made it. Well, I said I'm relieved that Joe Biden is president. I'm not necessarily happy about it.
Right. Yeah, I think I saw your video talking about that.
Yeah, and it's like it's difficult because I really don't like being a Debbie Downer. It kind of sucks being
Right.
this way, but like I've held my tongue like through since 2019, like since last year, when it comes to Joe Biden and all of these different things, because I'm like, okay, I realize that I do have to, put my head down and put my very radical ideology to the side so that way I can improve the material conditions of the people that I care about.
Right.
But it's just like, is he really going to do that? I really hope he does. One of the best things he can do right now is pack the Supreme Court.
Yeah, and I don't think that'll ever happen.
It
Uh,
just,
it should happen, but I don't see it happening.
I need him to.
What I think is going to happen is, well, even if we win the Senate runoffs, you still have Joe Manchin in West Virginia, who's basically a Republican. He is a Republican, but he's a Democrat, senator. But he's not going to go along with any of that. And I don't think in his heart of hearts Joe Biden wants to pack the courts. But I think he needs to definitely focus on doing things by executive order and not try to do these grand bargains where he works with the Republicans, because Mitch McConnell is not going to do anything you want,
No, Mitch McConnell
even if
is
he agrees with it.
he's a wall. Mitch McConnell's a wall. Mitch McConnell is a petty wall, is what he is. And like that's one reason why I'm cautious of the Biden presidency, is because Joe Biden's rhetoric right now was, we need to unify and heal and not we need to fix.
Right. Well, and that's the thing that they're gonna go with, is because, well, you see, Joe Biden's message of healing the nation won us the presidency. It's like, no, Donald Trump royally sucking won you the presidency. People came out to go against Trump, not to vote for Joe Biden. And that shows in them, going down ballot, voting Republicans, is they want to go back to brunch. That's the neoliberal
exactly.
They just want to go back to brunch. They don't actually want to change anything.
No, and then that's another thing. Like, what should the left do is, and we talked about this before, is the cultural revolution. Rather than trying to make things more palatable to conservatives, maybe we should focus on disproving some of the propaganda that they're taught, which is why I really like what you do, is because you're not focused on being like, oh no, this is diet socialism, I promise that everything's going to be fine, here's me holding your hand through everything. You're like, no, what you're being taught is propaganda, and I'm going to go ahead and educate you and show you why you need to think otherwise.
Right, and I think a lot of people on the left, on the progressive left, I think they discount how disengaged a lot of people are in the political process. Like, I enjoy politics. Like, I'm either watching some political YouTube video or watching the news. That's pretty much all my entertainment or media intake. Maybe a football game. That's about it. But a lot of people, they're not engaged, and they just don't care. They don't care about the new Senate bill that or whatever, or this Supreme Court pick, or this or that. Like, they just don't care. They go to work, they see a couple things on Facebook, and so I think what we have is, on the left, we have to work more on, reaching out to those people and just stopping the constant barrage of propaganda that they're involved in. Pull them away from the Ben Shapiro's of the world and and show them, hey, here's why that is incorrect, and here's 3 reasons why, real quick. And that's a good thing. I think the shit I do works good for TikTok, because I can just do a quick rundown. Here's the fact check. Here's why that's wrong, and move on. And then I think we need to. I don't think people on the left, they just kind of disregard the conspiracy people. And really, I've always said
they're actually pretty ripe for radicalization.
Right. Well, I've always said that the QAnon people are one. I don't believe in democratic satanic cabals away from being leftists. If they just didn't believe in lizard people destroying the world and drinking adrenochrome from babies, they'd be into it. And and that really shows in Florida, who went overwhelmingly for Trump, but voted for a $15 minimum wage overwhelmingly.
Yeah, policy over like political theater.
Yeah,
Because we do
exactly.
engage in a lot of political theater in America. Let's
Right.
see. Matthew had a good point. I think the Trump era has shown the effectiveness of political brinkmanship, which is something we can back away from. Even if
You're welcome.
Democrats magically take control of both House and the White House and the SCOTUS, I think we're seeing the end of the American government as we know it. There is going to be a lot of like radical change as a result of this. I mean, like even though I don't like the whole healing rhetoric that's coming out of Joe Biden right now, there is a lot of healing we have to do. There is a lot of like reaching out we're going to have to do. I hate sounding super kumbaya, even though I can't. I'm like a little bit of a hippie. We do have to reach out to like those people that are victims of misinformation. Because the reason
Right.
why
Yeah.
a lot of QAnoners is because they are like insecure, not in like, oh no, like I don't look good, as in like they are like they live in a state of insecurity. They don't know what's going on behind like the political showmanship. All they know is that their material conditions are messed up, and this one senator said something that was rhetorically effective to convince them otherwise. And they're like, oh, okay, so this is what's really happening behind closed doors.
Right.
That's also a result of our government not being very transparent or accessible to us. You know, our laws are written in jargon. These propositions are written in extremely inaccessible language. So there's a lot of room for people that don't know any better to just listen to stuff that's super made up.
Right, and it's like they get so involved in these crazy theories that they miss the forest for the trees. Yeah, they like they focus on these crazy outlandish conspiracies when the real conspiracy is that big pharma is in the, it has every single one of these senators on both sides in their pocket.
Yeah,
And wonder why we can't get any, serious reform when it comes to drug pricing. It's not
right.
because we can't do it, it's because
It's
they have the industry has them all bought off.
right. Well, I mean, one thing I find interesting about like some of the QAnon rhetoric is that they're like, follow the paper trail. I'm like, well, if you follow the paper trail stops at money. The paper trail doesn't stop at satanic, anti-Semitic conspiracy theories.
Right.
It
Every one
stops
of them
at
is
overseeing.
anti-Semitic too. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so sad. I mean, like, and like
But
one thing
yeah,
that
okay.
like makes me frustrated is when I see, you know, other BIPOC that like get trapped into this QAnon anti-Semitic stuff, because I'm like, well, on top of you just being a bigot, that's not okay. The thing about like the anti-Semitism behind most conspiracy theories is that it puts people on this racial hierarchy. So if you have this anti-Semitic belief that Jewish people control the world, then you're also implying that black and brown people are at the bottom of that pyramid, because that's what the pyramid the white supremacists have constructed. That's why they
Right.
say that we have to fight against Jewish people, because they think they are a minority to be fought and competed against. And it's like, no, no, honey. They're just trying their best to survive.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I really it's died down a little bit, but in July and August especially, there was just so much just George Soros, Jews control the world stuff on TikTok, and man, I would just search through some hashtags, and it's just and some people I don't like, they start off and they don't even know they're there or that's what they're doing, but eventually they all get there and they actually acknowledge it. But at first they don't even they don't even know that they're pushing this, anti, basically it was the Jews is how it
Yeah.
all ends, that's what it all ends up being. And it's
And like
crazy how every
I've had
single one reverts back to that.
conversations with like Jewish people that like also believe in these conspiracy theories. And I'm like that's how crazy effective the rhetoric is that they're like, well, not me kind of Jewish person, the other type of Jewish people. And it's like,
Right.
you know, how are they able to be that efficient? It's very perplexing to me, because it's almost like they come from a condescending place. I mean, This kind of reminds me of an essay I wrote in undergrad about Freakonomics,
Mhm.
where they have this sort of rhetorical device where they're pulling back a curtain and being like, this is what's actually happening. But like, it's just a picture, it's not like the real thing. So you feel like you're a part of this exclusive club. You're like, well, I wasn't able
Right,
to go to college, I wasn't able to get a 4.0 GPA, but like I know this thing that nobody else does, and that
right.
makes me feel really good about myself. You
And it's
know,
very, and that's, go ahead.
like those elitist professors don't actually know more than me. I'm actually the elite.
Hmm.
I'm actually the one in the know.
And that's what's so crazy. And that's why, I always try to be inviting and civil towards anybody that I have these discussions with or whatever about conspiracy, especially people that believe in conspiracies, because at the end of the day these people just want a community. They want a place they can go and share ideas with people, and they just love it that they have people they can share information with. And, oh, did you see this part at 14 minutes in on the Dora the Explorer cartoon where there was a Illuminati triangle? Like, it's all
It's
about their community,
crazy.
and they won't even. And it's like they'll never acknowledge that it's fake, because if that's fake, then their whole community is based on a lie, and that is the hardest part when you're trying to de-radicalize somebody from that far right crazy propaganda hellscape, is pulling them away from their community usually. And that
Right.
that's the tough part, and that's why we have to be like inviting, like, no, 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 over here, come on, we have lemon cookies or something, I
We
don't know.
do. We got something. Like you can. We'll be nice to you if you're just willing to sit down and listen.
Right. And
Because I mean,
it's hard, people, they just don't want to admit that they're wrong, and it's like these people, they've
no.
spent so much time, and then
I mean,
for that to be, oh, it's all a lie.
yeah,
you
I
know
mean, let's like think about the pathway this person would have to go through. Is that you already have to go through one paradigm shifting event to believe all of this QAnon stuff, but then to like de-radicalize, you have to go through another even like harder, more extreme paradigm shifting event. So like, there's like you're probably going to develop some mental health problems as a result of that.
Yeah. Well, and it's so sad. I made a video about it the other day. There's a community on Reddit called QAnon Casualties. It's like for family members of
I
people that
saw
are involved in the QAnon community. And this guy's, I think it was his aunt, had I think she shot herself, and she left a note that she was so freaked out that Donald Trump wasn't going to be able to fight the evil cabal anymore, that she didn't want to live. And so and that's crazy, like how far these people get into it.
and like that's one reason why I like have so much I hate to say it, but like vile hatred towards the Republican Party is because they will be like they will up and denounce QAnon. They entertain it. And they
Oh yeah.
entertain this thing that's ruining people's lives in order to
Hmm.
get political clout. And it's just like disgusting. It's immoral. And it just makes me so mad that they want to pretend that they are the ones with the moral high ground here because they want to care about American values. It's like, no, you are letting people ruin their lives. You are letting people like believe these like outlandish things just so you can go ahead and like sit in your Senate seat and let whatever company pay you to go ahead and push some bullshit bills.
Right, and
It's
that's the scariest thing, is they will continue to push it, because it is very, very it's very much in their favor to keep the grift going, because I mean, there's a lot of good data. I actually just finished editing a video that I'm going to upload tomorrow about basically where Q is at now that the election and everything. There's a lot of good polling data that shows, it's kind of funny, but there's a lot of good polling data that shows that QAnon was the reason that the polls were so far off, because these people just have a complete distrust of everything, and they only get their info from Trump. That's basically, don't listen to anything, trust Trump's tweets, and that's where they're at, and they have accepted it. Like, originally the GOP didn't back Marjorie Taylor Greene, the lady from uh,
Georgia.
Georgia, yeah, that the QAnon, conspiracy pusher. But now they're fully on board with her. Same thing with Lauren Gilbert. She did the same thing. Like they're fully backing these people, and it's helpful for them. Like we got the Tea Party movement under Obama when they weren't in power. That was the fringe group before. Now that
I
they're out
wasn't
of power
intelligent
again.
enough to like interpret what the Tea Party was when that was going on.
I don't know if they knew, but I mean, it QAnon before QAnon, basically. It was QAnon minus the, you know, pedophile sex cabal or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it's
Whatever
crazy.
it is. Well, because
But yeah, no, they're fully on board, and then that is one of my biggest issues with the GOP and Trump is that they've fully embraced this conspiracy that is ruining tons of people's lives. I mean,
only
it's
because it's
destroying
benefiting
families, and it's just crazy. But
it's probably some kid getting a good laugh how gullible those could be. Oh, that would be absolutely horrible. If
by the way,
really
shout out to Angie and Paul, always coming to the live streams. Appreciate that. And I'm pretty sure, Paul, aren't you from? You're from the UK, right? It's crazy how big those QAnon and stuff is over there in other countries. Like I get comments all the time, from the UK, Ireland, and they're like, "Yeah, this stuff's crazy big over here." I have to disagree on that one. I know you're suffering from any mental conditions. I know most of them fell down the Q rabbit hole during lockdown starting in March. Yeah.
Well, I mean, is it like a serious mental condition or is it more like, I guess what we're referring to is more of their, what's a better way to phrase this? Like they don't have like diagnosed anxiety, but they're like
Right.
living kind of in a constant state of fear now because I mean, like imagine if you actually believed that there was this deep state that was like out to get you, out to like eliminate whatever in group you identify as.
Well, I think I don't think it's not something that only affects people, that have mental health issues. It's definitely it's just it's the rabbit hole you go down. It is really what it is, and that's why I was talking about it's so easy for somebody to get uh caught up in it because they're home on lockdown, as Paul mentioned, and
Yeah.
they get down a YouTube rabbit hole. And a lot of these guys, these influencers in the Q community, they'll put tags in their videos like church, Bible, stuff like that, and it'll send people down this rabbit hole. And some old lady looking for Bible verses ends up on a QAnon video, and bam, four videos later, she's pilled. So really, it's just like the media you consume, and if they can get you to distrust the other side, no amount of debunking or fact checking is gonna matter because they don't believe
Like
it. They've
those on
already
a
been
completely different plane now.
right, exactly. But speaking of, like, this was see if I can share the screen real quick. This was Kevin McCarthy today on he was saying that we should give the QAnon people a chance, basically. See if I can. Oh, that's the end. Oh shit.
Marjorie Taylor walk around. Walk around with a couple looking for Steve and Omar saying that they needed to swear on a Bible enough. How are you going to deal with it?
Look, our party is very diverse. You mentioned two people who are going to join our party, and both of them asked. The only thing I would ask
QAnon.
Well, the sound cut out for me.
But yeah, that's I don't know if I want to give a chance to somebody that compared people who believe in Islam to horses or sheep or whatever she did, and then is running around Congress telling 2 Muslims that they need to swear on the Bible, otherwise it doesn't count. I don't know if I want to give those people a chance.
No, and like,
You know,
I mean, that's like one. Let's see. Okay, I got distracted by the chat, but I mean,
the Bible predicts 5G. I don't know about that.
I think Matt is being a little bit sarcastic.
I mean, maybe.
Let's see. I think because they keep saying do your own research, people tend to trust it and
Oh, what's up, Jay?
just believe. That is, yeah, no, that's 100% true, because I mean, one thing that QAnon is able to successfully push is that, like, no gods, no masters are controlling your brain. You are the person that is like discovering this thing. Like, it gives
You are
you
the
this
media.
yeah, it gives you this false sense of reality. That like you are an expert and you do have these skills, and like, you know, it's not people's fault that they don't have these like media literacy skills. So yeah, I mean, like, it gives people this false sense of reality, and it just isn't. I don't know how to describe it other than it isn't okay. It's terrible. It's horrible.
It's just bad.
It's just so bad.
What was I going to ask you? What do you look for Joe Biden to do, like, first 100 days? Like, what's going to be your
I haven't
your gauge to, like, if it's going to go okay or not, if he's going to do anything?
I
was actually he announced his chief of staff today, Ron Klain, who, I mean, considering the choices, and we know Biden's not going to go so far left, Ron Klain is actually a pretty good choice for the left. He's not a bad guy.
Not the worst.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I think that's a decent win for as opposed to what we could expected. It's not, you know, it could have been worse. It's not Rahm Emanuel, you know, per se.
I mean, I would love to see Bernie and Labor. I know that for sure. I would love to see Bernie and Labor.
Labor secretary, definitely.
Yes. And then I think, well, this was before we went live, but I mentioned that Black Lives Matter tweeted, and I think they also sent it, like emailed it to Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, this open letter to them that's like, hey, as we're transitioning, and like you can find it on their Twitter if you want to look it up for yourselves, but they're like, hey, since like the Black vote has done a lot for y'all, you need to meet with us so we can talk about how exactly we need to approach the situation that's happening with like Black people being shot, like murdered in the streets by people that are supposed to protect them. I mean, like,
go ahead.
My personal beliefs is either like some sort of abolishment or defunding. I'm not really sure if throwing more money at it is necessarily going to help, but like, if Joe Biden actually does invite Black Lives Matter into the White House and doesn't do any more performative activism, then like I will feel a lot more comfortable with his presidency than I am right now.
Yeah. I think the first thing he needs to do is get rid of the immigration policies that Trump put in, remain in Mexico, things like that. But Elizabeth Warren and, surprisingly, Chuck Schumer put together a plan to eliminate $50,000 worth of student debt for everybody, and they say they can do it under executive order. And I'm pretty sure the only reason Schumer signed on to this is because he's worried about getting primaried from AOC. But it's $50,000 away from everybody's student debt, and I mean that goes a long way to helping people out. And if we can get him to do that first 100 days, that would be like the dream scenario as far as what I think 100%. Biden's actually going to accomplish. And the thing is, if and this is what I was going to say, I forgot for a second, but if Democrats don't actually start doing things like actual policy for the Black community, we're going to start losing the vote.
Well,
And
yeah, like
it's
that's
already
when,
starting to happen, even
like
though
that,
the
yeah.
Republicans are terrible. But it's just they haven't voted for that way in so long or ever that, it just sounds, well, what have you got to lose? It's going to start sounding like a pretty decent argument.
Well, I mean, on top of that, like there are also plenty of Black voters that chose to not even participate in this election. So, because I mean, the Black vote feels like they are being taken for granted. It seems like. I mean, that's like, I mean, you saw the rhetoric that was going around in like neoliberal circles when Flint, Michigan was like red for a second. They're like, oh, well, I guess y'all ain't gonna get water anymore. Hoo 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 hoo. And it's like, you're losing the Black vote and you're losing the marginalized vote if you keep up that rhetoric, because you're showing them that you only use people of color as pawns and you objectify them. You only think that they're a means to an end. You're showing that you don't actually care about them. And like that's not very cool. And that's how that's how the Democrats are going to lose. That's also how they lost the Latino vote. I mean, the Latino vote
Right.
is
Hey,
very
hold
much
on one
not
second.
as
Hey, guys, you can see. I'm looking at the YouTube chat now where it says restream. That is the Twitch chat. That's the stuff coming from Twitch and Facebook. So where it says restream, that's the Twitch and Facebook chat. If you're on YouTube, because I know most of you guys are on YouTube, so it should be all together. You should be able to see it all. All
Thank
right,
you,
go ahead. My
JB
bad.
Kai. It let me read a really nice message from JB.
Oh yeah,
I can't.
this guy's cool. He's
Okay.
based. Uh, he has a TikTok account. I follow him. He's a cool dude.
Okay. I'll go ahead and follow him back because I'm so based, as we all know. But yeah, I mean, the Latino vote is like not nearly as much as of a monolith as the Black vote is, but like Latinos felt left out of this election cycle, which is why we saw a lot of like güeros, more like white Latinos vote Republican because they're like, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and lean into my like Catholic sides now. And then on top of that, white Cubans are very different voters than people like me, like Mexicans that have more indigenous blood in them. Like we exist on very two different planes. But like if you can unite the Latino vote and you show that like you are going to care about them, they'll vote for you.
What I don't understand is it seems like, I mean, Bernie had such good outreach with Latinos. He had that guy Chuck Rocha. He was ahead of the Latino outreach, and he did a great job. I don't understand why they weren't involved more in Biden's campaign, and I hate that they're taking for granted. It's like the establishment Democrats want to win, but only like in a certain way. They don't want to promise too much, and then they don't want to do heavy outreach. They don't want to commit too many resources to the Black vote, to the Latino vote, because like they almost feel like they have it in the bag or they deserve it. And you can see
Yeah.
by the numbers that they're
Yeah.
slowly, they're starting to lose it a little bit. Yeah, and that you have to have it.
Yeah.
Somehow with everything that went wrong under the Trump presidency, he still got 70 million plus votes. So
One
you're
is
clearly
the
your messaging sucks.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've made a video on this before because I've been seeing people be like, oh, well, if the radical left would have just shut up, we would have had this in the bag. And it's like, no, I mean, like, I've said this before and I'll say it again. If the radical left wasn't speaking, like, neoliberals wouldn't have any talking points to co-opt and water down in the first place to make it seem like they care about minorities or like healthcare and all of these different things. So, I mean, while I do think, maybe like certain like leftists don't need to be as harsh with their rhetoric during the election cycle, a lot of us gave up our radical politics and voted for Joe Biden. I know a fellow like radical woman of color that's also on TikTok. Her at is Concrete Corn. She's even more left than I am, and she campaigned for Joe Biden because she wanted to make it work.
Right.
And she's very burnt out because of that, because she had to put herself in a lot of harm to campaign for Joe Biden. So this
And did you get
establishment.
all the did you get all the comments whenever you critiqued anything at all? Like, oh, why did you do that? You're gonna help Trump. You're gonna
Oh,
help Trump win.
I
I
get
made I made one video about how the people on the left just shouldn't blindly follow the media and should actually do a little more research into the narratives they're pushing, because it's not that they out and out lie or just completely make up stories. It's that they kind of twist and bend the narrative to fit a certain thing.
there's
It's
bias
not
as
anywhere near what the right says, but it's somewhere in the middle. And I got like 40 comments of people like, "Oh, you're helping Trump win." It's like, dude, come on.
No, I get it so bad because like the worst thing about it is that the racism and the performative activism really pops out with me because like I got a comment recently that said that I'm the reason that white people still call black people the N-word, and I was like, wow, I did not know
What?
that my existence was that powerful. I
Oh.
did not know that. But like it's calling, like, because you have that and I'm more of calling people out and like performative liberals on their tokenization, because a big reason why I like went further left was because I felt very tokenized, and I considered even going right because I felt tokenized, unheard, and quite frankly used by a lot of like establishment Democrats and neoliberals. Like, oh, we only want Tori to talk when we're talking about immigration. We only want Tori to talk just a little bit when we're talking about women, and it was very frustrating for me.
And whatever you do, don't talk about policy.
Yeah, whatever I do, yeah, don't talk about policy. Like, it's just, and I was like, well, what's the point of me being here? Like, I'm obviously still being objectified. Putting me on a pedestal is still letting me know that you don't see me as a human. So as soon as I say something that doesn't fit the neoliberal establishment's kind of purpose for me, I get like so attacked. And like the other thing about that comment that really got to me, or like, oh, you're the reason why people are still like bigoted, is that the implication of that is that minorities are responsible for the own prejudice that we experience. Because the thing about racism and the thing about like bigotry in general is that it's never just. No matter, I could be the worst person in the whole world, but if someone were to like call me a beaner or a wetback or a spick or whatever, I don't deserve that, even if I'm a bad person, because you're calling me that because of my racial background, not because of my actions. So not cool. Like, there's nothing I can do to justify someone to be racist towards me. There's nothing a black person can do that can justify someone being racist towards them. So that's the problem with like kind of that neoliberal rhetoric.
Well, they're so quick. I thought it was so funny during the primaries when you had actual anchors on TV comparing Bernie's online movement to like brown shirts. And it like Chuck Todd said that live on air, I think more than once. And and it's like, have you been on Twitter? Have you ever said anything against Nancy Pelosi and then been brutally attacked by the neo-libs? And
Have
you
have
guys
you
need
ever
to
said
unite or
anything
get
about
around us.
have you ever said anything about Kamala Harris? And like the weird thing about when you say things about Kamala Harris is that it's not even like black women that are coming to get you. It's like white liberals that are like tokenizing Kamala Harris that come after you. Does Tori have her own channel? I'm assuming yes. I only have, yeah.
Oh, go ahead. I'll let you
I only
promote
have I only have a TikTok. It's torinoodles. I'm pretty sure it's going to be up there. And then from there, you can see my link tree. I said I'll make a YouTube channel at 10K because like I do kind of want to make video essays. My content is mainly focused on like political theory and philosophy stuff, just because I think that stuff is really important. And also, I don't think I can handle as much bullshit as Driven does.
YouTube there's so much more to it, like making a video. That's what I like about TikTok is I can just see a video, stitch it real quick, and throw out an opinion or an idea or reason why that's dumb. that YouTube, it's just so much more, and you got to put so many tags, and you got to put the right kind of tags, otherwise nobody see. It's just saturated, really. And
Yeah.
TikTok's starting to get that way now, especially now that the platform's monetized. Uh, and I think so many Q people have reported my videos that I'm kind of shadow banned because pretty much I got to 10K and then just stopped growing. It was, I got
That's
to
so
10K
weird.
in like a few months, and then since
Wait,
then it's
are you part of the Creator Fund?
yeah, just
Okay.
I think I made like 30 bucks this month or
Look at
something,
you.
or like half the light bill.
I've made $4 off of my live streams on TikTok. I'm balling.
Doesn't
But
I never go live on TikTok. I should do more, but don't they take half or something?
I haven't deposited it. I haven't taken it out yet. I just like to look at it and be like, yes, and then go about my day.
Right.
Because I said I wouldn't take anything
All
out
worth it, baby.
like $10. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, going live on TikTok is like, I feel like, I mean, here is good too. You can have a good conversation. But all of my live streams on TikTok are like Ask Me Anythings. So like you can ask me
Right.
anything from politics to like even some personal stuff. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure some of the people that are here from my Discord know that like I can overshare sometimes. And like I've noticed that people kind of gravitate towards that more because they're like, oh, you feel like a real person. So like
Right.
big philosophical concepts that I'll talk about and get into don't seem as pretentious or inaccessible because, you're not getting it from some like bearded professor dude. You're getting it from this, fresh out of college person.
Right. Yeah, I think that's one. Like usually when I do live streams or something, I tend to like stick to the content and just talk about it. It's something I'm bad about reading comments and stuff because I just get kind of caught up. So I'm not as good as I should be at building a community, and just I don't. It's like I can't do two things at once or something. I can either like critique the content or read comments. So like I can't do both.
Because like I'm very like comment based on my lives. I mean, like,
Mhm.
are you an introvert or an extrovert?
I'm extroverted. I think it's just like I can't, I don't know. Like I after I do my live streams, like sometimes I'll watch back like 10 minutes. I'm just like, maybe I should have read some more comments. I don't, I'm bad about engaging with my audience, and I have like some people that always come to the lives and support me, and I need to be more interactive. But
See, but they said, but we appreciate what you do. So you're already doing fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, because you
I
put out
appreciate you for coming.
like high
Yeah,
quality.
and I mean honestly, that's why I make content. I mean, I don't expect to ever, be like a famous YouTuber or something. Like the reason I started making like Q debunk content is because, I told you I have tons of conservative friends and family members that live in Florida, which is, the batshit capital of the world, and they're all into this QAnon craziness, and I seen like how crazy it was making them, and then I kind of get more into it. I see how much of an issue this is for everyday people, and and really all that stuff is it's not like I unearthed any kind of big secret that it was all horse shit. It's that I just sat down, took the time, and went line by line and said, no, that's horse shit, this is horse shit, no, here's why, here's that, here's 3 resources as to why it's horse shit. And of course I still get plenty of comments on those videos that are like, ha, you're dumb because of this, and it's like, okay, all right, there's 4 sources debunking what you just said in the
I
description.
mean, we are both in the pocket of George Soros, but like I haven't gotten my check last month yet, so I need to get into contact with
fact, the TikTok Creator Fund is actually run by George Soros.
Exactly. But I mean, if you come from like an area of all of these people that like are vulnerable to this rhetoric, what do you think kind of made you not fall into that? What made you not susceptible to that?
I think I have a good gauge for bullshit. I've always been able to do that. Like I I'm used to dealing with a lot of people. I had a business, like a food service business, for a long time, and surprisingly, a lot of people in the food service business are very shady. So,
Yeah,
I had to deal with a lot of people, and like I had to go to a lot of conventions and book like book contracts and deal with like committee members, and I always had like a staff of like 20 or 30 when I did it. Like it was a crazy job, and just dealing with people all the time. Like I don't know, I just kind of I can call bullshit when I see it. Like I like you can just tell by the way some of these people present themselves on TikTok or YouTube that they're just grifting. Like you're a grifter. You don't actually believe what you say. You're just lying in order to, further, line your pockets. And that's the shit that drives me nuts. That's why I always go after Candace Owens, the Tim Pools, the Steven Crowders. I would go after people on the left. Like I'm starting to get more like upset with Crystal Ball, like some of the takes she's had recently.
I
As a
I'm not.
lefty, she's on Rising. You ever watch that show, The Hill?
This is how unaware I am. I'm like, fun fact, guys. I'm actually like a big old lady, and I'm like not very media aware.
But she's an online. I mean, well, they have a show on it's the Hill, the media company, The Hill. They have a show called Rising on YouTube. It's got almost 1 million subs, but she's like she presents herself as like this online lefty. She's like a progressive journalist, and she's good. She has a lot of good progressive ideas, but like recently she's just been very like very much downplaying. Like she really downplayed the whole Trump basically trying to subvert our election process, like this whole thing he's been going through. And her argument was basically, oh, well, Trump is dumb and it's not going to work, so who cares? It's like, dude, no, that
No,
is a terrible
Trump
argument.
like also, I don't really think Trump is dumb. I think he is very strategic about the way that he presents himself in order to,
Right. He's
you know,
a bad manager, is what he is.
yeah, he really appeals, like he uses like far right populism very much to his advantage, and you do have to be like some type of clever in order to do that. But like, even if he was dumb, it's still a threat. It's still like we can't think that threats to our democracy are normal because it gets us in like shit like this.
Right. Well, that's the thing. It's like,
okay,
this is bad because it's absolutely never happened, and it's normalizing it. Now we're not going to be shocked the next time it happens. It's going to become this is going to become standard practice for the Republicans if they lose the election. And that's what I hate, that like we just give this ground to the right. I'm not a big fan of Bill Maher, but I really agree with him when he says that liberals just love to lose and they don't know how to win, because we make this argument like, oh, we have to win. We have to win by a landslide. It has to be a landslide victory. Like, bullshit. Why? Why does it have to be a landslide? If we win by one vote, we fucking win. And that should be it, It shouldn't have to be, oh, we have to win in a landslide. Like, no, they would never do that.
no, like I mean, like as beautiful as the whole "they go low, we go high" thing sounds, like
Right.
sorry, Obama stands, but like it's not working for us, guys. It's not.
Right,
It's not working. I understand that we want to pretend that like we are the good ones in this situation, and we 100% are. But like we need to get out there and play ball.
Right. Civility politics just doesn't work.
It doesn't, especially like where we're at in America. Like Trump has forever changed American politics.
Yeah.
Forever. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And he's not going anywhere. That's the thing. Trump, even if he doesn't run again, he'll be kingmaker in the GOP till he dies. Like,
Yeah.
Trump is still the most, he has the highest favorability rating in the history of the GOP, despite everything. And that's not going anywhere. He'll start a media network or he'll do something. And, his brand of politics is the norm in the GOP.
Yeah.
there's that whole Lincoln Project. Oh, the decent Republicans consist of like John Kasich, Steve Schmidt, and like 3 people in Delaware or something.
And
Like,
then, like,
it's not a thing.
the thing about the Lincoln Project and like kind of liberals sort of like being like, good job, Lincoln Project, and then like bashing actual progressives in the left, it's like, you guys shouldn't be like going for the centrist. Like, the Democrats' unwillingness to commit to a political ideology is what makes them lose an election, is what's making them lose the election. That's why we see these really big progressive, that's why we see the squad still be successful and get reelected. It's because they're committed to their political ideology. They're not wishy-washy. They're like, this is what we want.
And people really on both sides, one thing that we can all agree on is we hate corruption. We hate the corporate greed. And the squad, not taking corporate PAC money, not being held accountable to donors. Like, their donors are the American people. And that's what makes them so dangerous to the establishment. And, now we picked up Jamal Bowman, Cory Bush, what was the other guy's name? Marvin something. We got like 3 or 4, maybe 5 other good, strong, progressive candidates. And the thing is that almost every person that ran for Congress that supported Medicare for All won. The seats that we lost on the left were the blue dog Democrats, middle of the road centrists, because those are the bought off.
Yeah, literal do nothing Democrats.
Yeah, they're the ones that they don't. Yeah, it's all rhetoric based. It's like that meme. It's like, hey, we need help. Republicans, no. Democrats, no. BLM, #me too. Yeah.
Basically, like, the performativism is just so absolutely, like, just out of the roof. Let's see. Oh, and like the thing about Trump starting his own like TV station or something, I think someone was theorizing that he might buy OAN.
I could see it, or Newsmax. That's what's so crazy is now Fox is not right wing enough for him. There's a big push to go to Newsmax. Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy because I think someone told me last night, they were like, oh yeah, did you hear Fox News is considered the radical left now? I'm like, oh my God, my political leanings are like off of like this realm of existence. I have transcended man. If Fox News is the radical left, it's just...
Well, it's just more and more on the right. It happens on the left too, obviously, but more and more on the right. People are just going to news to get the opinions they already have validated, not to learn anything new. That's why they're all jumping to Parler, which is the dumbest fucking name for a social media app, and then Newsmax. It's only, and that the video I just made that'll be out tomorrow, short plug, and that's what I end by saying, like, these people aren't gonna come back now that Trump is out of office. They don't see this as like a repudiation of what they believe. They're going to double down more because they think it was stolen, and that's what they're doing.
Like, I think of that one South Park episode about doubling down. I don't know if that's like, it's its moments, and it has its moments, but this was one of its moments.
Right. Let me see if I like this. This was crazy when I saw it. Didn't actually.
America definitely needs more progressives on the left. This is true, Cherry.
It's 70% of Republicans think the election wasn't free and fair. Isn't that 70%? And it's even the Trump supporting Secretary of State in Georgia said this was one of the smoothest elections he can remember having. Like, it's actually crazy how little went wrong in this election, and 70% of the other party thinks it was stolen.
Well, it's because like Donald Trump has been like priming his supporters to think this way because he knew he was going to fuck up. He knew he was going to do bad. So he's
Right.
like, I have to go ahead and plant this little egg in my supporter's head that if just in case I lose, it's not because, I mishandled the pandemic. I extremely mishandled the pandemic. It's because the Democrats are dirty and they stole it from us.
Right. And he's never going to let that go. He's never going to concede. He's going to, till the day he dies, he's going to say the Democrats stole this election. And he would have done the same thing last time. And nobody can give me a straight answer as to how exactly they stole it. Or if they stole it, why didn't they take the Senate? I mean, it would have been very easy to take the Senate. I mean, it's all on the same ballot. So they're going to write in whatever Republican candidate and then put in Joe Biden at the top. I mean, it makes no sense.
No, and it just I don't know how someone like Donald Trump was able, well, I mean, actually, just kidding. I do know how. It's because, American politics has been on the decline for a long time. Because I think I want to kind of change the narrative of, Donald Trump has ruined American politics to Donald Trump is a representation of, how American politics has been going. Because
the politics before this is what created Trump.
Yeah, Bush created Trump 110%. Because I made, this was one of my No Nuance November posts, but I was like, capitalism breeds and thrives on political illiteracy. Because I don't even know where to fix it first. I mean, it starts in the schools, and Miss Betsy DeVos was like, we're going to take away all the funding so that way we can continue.
God, that lady.
Misinformed populace. So that way we can, make more ignorant people. Download Parler.
Yeah, I just took it off. She said download Parler for pure entertainment. Yeah, no, I have a Parler account and I go on there sometimes, incognito, and it's gold. It's definitely gold. They have a new one. It's like an alt-right Facebook. It's called MeWe MeWe. It's the same thing. They're creating their own media sphere so they can get deeper in their echo chambers. Facebook is extremely right wing. It is full of propaganda, right wing, and that's not far enough for them. They need more. They need more lizard people.
They need a different type of echo chamber.
Yeah, it needs to be. They can't see anything that disagrees with them. It has to be full 100%. And that's how people get start writing manifestos and shit when they get so caught up in that stuff.
Yes. Also, I've been seeing a lot of discussion in the chat about who owns what. I don't know if everyone here has read Noam Chomsky's Manufacturing Consent. I've talked about this on my lives before, but if y'all really want to get into it and see how far it goes and how much it really impacts people's minds, would recommend Noam Chomsky's Manufacturing Consent. And then also Michael Parenti has a really good book on it too, but he's a little bit more. He's a commie. He's an actual commie, which I welcome. But
well, if I was going to recommend one for people to read, it would be Manufacturing Consent. It's just really it's a good breakdown of how shit really works and how they push narratives and but yeah, it's just I'm deeply worried about the political divide because I'm not sure. The only thing that is going to bring people together is, things that we all need, like healthcare, jobs, actual policy. And right now, and seeing as both sides want to do that, the establishment of both sides, they just focus so heavily on the identity politics, the culture war, and that's what just makes the divide so much more. And then you have the media companies that at this point do the same thing. You have Fox News talk shit about MSNBC all day, and then MSNBC talks shit about Fox, and it just goes back and forth. Matt Taibbi, who's a journalist, I mean, and I don't really agree with him on a lot, but he wrote a good book called Hate Inc. about how the media plays off each other, for ratings, and it really breaks it down about how it's all just a money ratings game, and that's actually why one of the reasons I started originally making content is because the reason that the left lost in the election is because we just don't have enough media. The bulk of the media is this establishment type media, and that's where people get their narratives from.
Yeah.
That's where they think all the Bernie supporters are like these evil, hateful Antifa types that just want to put you in a gulag if you don't agree with them 100%.
Uh-oh, Antifa. Uh-oh, I'm against fascism? What? I'm so crazy.
Uh-oh.
But, I mean, actually, like, one of my first videos that kind of got me, like, some more traction on TikTok, like, when I went from 50 followers to 200 followers, was I was talking about, and this is a very, like, philosophical well, not super, but it's a philosophical conversation because it gets into aesthetics, which is a branch of philosophy, about the aesthetics of the DNC versus the RNC. The DNC this year was so overproduced, the way I describe it, like the DNC versus the RNC was the DNC was this like big like pop song that was probably played in like a big blockbuster movie that's like kind of catchy, but it's soulless. It's ultimately soulless. Versus the RNC, even though it was like shitty in message and it was kind of ugly to be honest, it's kind of like a bluegrass folk song. You're not saying that bluegrass is ugly. I love me some bluegrass, but like it like that's one reason why the Republicans have had as much has been able to like do populist politics is because they're not overproduced. Like their kind of inherent sort of ugliness with their aesthetics is appealing to more people than the Democratic Party getting John Legend to like sing in a swanky suit that's probably like how many thousands of dollars, and it doesn't really speak to them as much as like this crazy lady that's like a little bit coked up saying America.
Right. No, they're much better at fake populism, and that's what people don't want to talk about. Like it's in the left, or the establishment media and stuff will always talk about, oh, the reason Trump won is because of pure racism, and that's why. It's no, like that's not. Like he actually went to the left of Hillary on a lot of topics on healthcare, education. He went to the left. He said, I'm going to cover everybody. How anybody ever bought that? Just the way he phrased it. Like, I'm going to cover everybody and it's going to be cheaper. Like, I don't know, man. Doesn't seem like much of a plan. It seems like my 8-year-old nephew would break down a healthcare plan. Everybody should be taken care of, But he went to the left and, he talked about the bad trade deals, which were bad. And that's a big reason why he won. That's why he got 8 million people that voted for Obama to vote for him. And that is what the left actually has to do. And if we don't actually, and if Joe Biden just sits back and tries to say, oh, the right tied my hand, we will get destroyed in the midterms. Destroyed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And because the propaganda is only going to, ratchet up. And if you don't have anything to actually show for it, people aren't going to care. They're not, most people aren't politically engaged and they just want to know, is my health care cheaper? Do I have to pay more taxes?
Right.
How much is my health, how much my health care going to cost? And that's pretty much it.
Politics are very personal, and pretending like they're anything but, and like that also, like if we are able to say that politics is not just a part of private life, it's a part of public life, and we stop like being like, oh, it's rude to talk politics at the table or something, we're able to not get into these echo chambers where people are more vulnerable to this propaganda. Because I mean, people don't like become QAnoners at like a bar. They like do it when they're isolated alone on their internet, on the internet. My speaking is coming out.
What's great is I'm gonna do a live stream next week, kind of going over and debunking this documentary called Out of Shadows.
I've seen it.
Have you seen it?
I've seen it. It's
Yeah.
batshit insane.
Yeah, and it had like 20 million views before it got kicked off, but you can still find it on YouTube. But it gets removed periodically. But I think the funniest thing about that video is it starts off and the guy was like, "Oh, I totally wasn't into conspiracies or anything, and then I had an accident and was in the hospital, and then I started researching, like he broke his back, you know, and then I started researching and I found all this stuff." It's like, well, wait, so let me get this straight. You worked in Hollywood all your life, and then you had an accident, and then through sitting in your hospital room, all drugged up on painkillers because you just broke your back, that's when you found out all the information about the Satanic Cabal.
And then he
It
was
sounds
also
like
like,
the
oh, and
prototypical way somebody gets killed.
And
You
then
know,
the same way he was like, oh, and then some lady prayed over me and talked about how she was like, the rich people send their children to me to fix them. And I'm like,
right?
well, I don't know if this sounds
And then like he makes an appearance, and then you never hear from her the rest of the video.
yeah, and then you don't
Like,
even
wait, can we go back to that lady?
she probably is more informed than this person that did
Right.
independent research. Like I'm all about people like going out for themselves and like looking up information. But like when people are like, oh, I did research on my own because I saw one YouTube video, I'm like, ooh, red flag. Red flag.
Right. It's just like nothing's ever that simple, you know, and and that's kind of what it boils down to. It's just people, they find like an avenue that interests them and they just go down, and people just love conspiracies. It's crazy how many videos I see of like Tom Hanks being a pedophile that get like 1 million likes on, you know, TikTok or something. There was a video, like one of the first YouTube videos I ever made. I showed a TikTok, and this girl, and the video got like 600,000 likes, and she basically compared the whole adrenochrome situation, and she's like, "It's real, you know, it's just like the plot in Monsters Inc." Like, wait, did you say that something was real because you saw it on Monsters Inc? You know,
You see with a Pixar, I don't know. Oh my
right? Like, I don't know if that was real.
god.
You know,
Right.
I'm not an expert or anything.
It goes into this like thing where people are susceptible to narratives. Like people love a story, and like that's one instinct we kind of have to fight, is that we're like, oh, this is like a David and Goliath story. This is like, you know, like again, an underdog story or something like that. Like there's this thing I mentioned when we were not on live, but I used to date a conspiracy theorist, and like one of the things that he would always say is like, oh, well, it's always the crazy man that is right. And I was like, I'm not so sure about that.
That just sounds like a bumper sticker. I don't know.
For real.
Yeah.
But like it's catchy. It's like easy to repeat, and it feels kind of good to be in the know.
Right, you know, and that's like even on my videos now, my like all the Cabal debunk videos, I'll get like, "Ugh, you're so misinformed. Like I pray for you," like a condescending kind of like, I actually know what's going on, sir. You know, like that's there's a big element of that to it. Like people just want to be in the know and know something that you don't.
Yeah, and I think like about like the pray thing, like it's so gross to me how they're able to use religion to prey on these people to make them believe this stuff, because they're able to be like, well, if you're a Christian and you know scripture, doesn't this match scripture? And this goes into the narrative things again, where it's like, oh, let me go ahead and like weaponize your own spiritual beliefs against you to make you believe this thing. And like you'll see that in Out of Shadows, where they're really able to like hone in on the Christianity in that one.
Yeah, another area where it's getting really big is the wellness community. They have a big. Let's see if I can pull it up here.
I was like, let me know about that more, like that, like the crystal healing people,
Yeah.
like the Gaia online people.
Yeah. Yoga influencers are battling to weed out QAnon conspiracy theories that have infiltrated their world of wellness. It's a big thing with like Instagram influencers. They get you know down the spiritual crystals and the healing ointments and then
Alternative.
somehow that turns into democratic satanic cabals. You know, the huge.
The usual, you know, I mean,
Yeah,
every
how
week,
that goes.
you know, gets tree. And one thing that like rubs me the wrong way about certain like conspiracies where it's like, oh, they're trying to like kill the white race or something, or like these terrible things are happening to children. It's like those, yeah, like things like that are happening to children, but it's not by like George Soros funded like pedophilia. Like, no, like let's go to an ICE detention center right now and talk about how eugenics is literally being created. Let's talk about how there is a cultural genocide of indigenous people in America already. These things are already happening, but you're just willfully ignoring it because it's not happening to your perceived in-group.
Right. And it's always, they talk about how there's so many conspiracy theories about JFK, and, you know, that whole thing, but there's not any conspiracies about when Reagan got shot because he didn't die. Like, people have a hard time, like, believing that one person could completely change, like, the history of the world by shooting and killing the president. But the guy that just shot the president but didn't kill him, like, that's more like, people can take that at face value.
Yeah.
And it's weird how just, like, certain things, like, people just think
It's
it must be bigger than, like, usually the truth is right out there in the open, and it's just not sexy, you know?
Yeah. Like, I mean, when something is harder to digest, I mean, that's why there's so much talk around 9/11, because 9/11 is something that was really hard for Americans to digest. Now, I was like a little baby child, so I didn't even know what was going on. It's like a historical thing for me to talk about 9/11. But, like, 9/11 was so hard to process for Americans. So they were like, oh, we have to make a ton of conspiracy theories about 9/11.
Right. Yeah, no, that was like the real big, like, first conspiracy that I was introduced to was the 9/11 inside job conspiracy.
Like,
Yeah,
there's a movie called Zeitgeist about it, right? That like was really floating around.
right. I like, yeah, that was a crazy, like, I remember being little and like seeing that, and that was crazy. And it is like that. It's crazy to think that, you know, it can be something as simple as, you know, some guys halfway around the world just decided to come to America, hijack a plane with a box cutter, and then ran it into a tower, and then, in their eyes, struck, you know, the jackpot at actually getting it to crumble. You know, like the whole, like it just, like, from watching movies or just, you know, taking in, you know, everything, you would think it would be more sophisticated than that.
No.
But it's really not, you know, that's just what it is. It's not some giant government conspiracy. It's some assholes got lucky with their terror plot.
Yeah, and then like I mean, also like you know, it's a result of American imperialism. You know, America sticking its nose where it doesn't really have a right to. You know, coming back to bite it in the ass, kind of. Let's see.
Hot take saying Bush to 9/11 is low-key racist because it denies agency to the people who did it and ignores the ramifications of foreign policy.
100% base take. I mean, because it just, I mean, we dehumanize people that live outside of America. I mean, that's why xenophobia in, like, not just America, but the West is, like, so, like, prevalent because we're so good at dehumanizing people that don't live in European/Western countries.
Mm-hmm. It's like it's not real if it happens over there.
Exactly.
Like, you don't, you know, it's like, what's happening in Saudi Arabia or Yemen, or, you know, what, it's like, you know, that's not real over there. It's like, oh, it's pretty real.
Yeah, and then when it comes to affect us in the, like, you know, like it did in 9/11, people are like, what? I'm so shocked.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's like, people, you know, like, especially on the right, will, you know, look at a picture of, like, some radicalized ISIS people and be like, oh, they're crazy terrorists. But they take, like, basically the exact same pictures and do the exact same things.
Yeah.
Like, in a different, like, more Americanized, you know, like, obviously, like, they're not planning, like, terror attacks and stuff. But, I mean, they're, as far as, like, you know, dedication and like allegiance to their overlords. You know, it's kind of the same thing. You know, and they bow down to the to whatever.
Nationalism is a disease.
Right. Yeah.
Nationalism is the real virus. We must find a prescription for nationalism.
But I wanted to show you at this Benjamin Dixon uh, little tweet battle that he got in was like the perfect
Ooh.
representation of what the neolibs are going to try and do for the next 4 years. And let's see if I can find it. Just okay.
You know, this is bigger than the 2020. Absolutely unarguable. Fascism. Saying that in my journey to conservatism, I'm glad I ended up skipping over neolib and going straight left because golly, y'all are annoying. By your own admission, you barely stopped fascism. Progressives won most of their races, and the establishment neolibs lost most of their races. That's not a coincidence. We may have joined forces to fight against Trump. That does not make us Democrats, and that does not mean you can expect us to fall in line with whatever centrist neolib garbage helped get us into this mess in the first place. Cry hard. All right, looks like the race is almost around.
Yeah, that's what he said. We kind of missed that.
It just like they really do expect us to just like blindly follow just because we don't like fascism. I mean, like here's the thing: is like we can clap when neolibs are slipping into fascism too.
Well, it's like you know, hey, we barely won, so shut up because we barely won, so you can't critique us at all. That's basically what that guy's saying. Like, oh, we have to be united on a strong front. It's like, dude, come on, like we don't we don't agree, and we're gonna
front to unite on. First of all,
right.
Because I haven't seen a front they've actually produced. I mean, I think I talked about this on one of my videos before, but like the actual like Democratic like party platform, the written one that you can find on their website, is actually one of the most progressive party platforms we've ever gotten from an American president in terms of American politics. But like every time Joe Biden and Kamala Harris was asked about a point that was on that party platform, they did everything they could to distance themselves from their own party platform. So I don't see what should make us, you know, further left people want to trust them and think that, you know, they actually have our best interest in minds and just blindly unite with them because they've shown consistently.
Well, and if Joe Biden actually pursues and gets done his agenda that was laid out, I would be ecstatic. Like I would be shocked for the most part.
I would love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong.
Because it's not that he didn't lay out a progressive agenda, although, you know, I would do things, you know, a bit differently, but it's that the follow through is the issue. You know, that's what I'm worried about. Obama laid out a, you know, really progressive agenda, but you know, he didn't want to. He was like a politician. He was a great politician who didn't like politics. You know, he was great with you know, pushing building a coalition and like, you know, explaining a narrative and speaking but when it came to like getting down in the mud with Mitch McConnell, he wasn't able to do it. And Joe Biden's not going to be able to do it if he's always talking about, oh, let's do some kind of grand bargain, and you know, it's not going to happen. They're not going to do it.
Again, because I mean, here's the thing: when a centrist votes Democrat, they are praised, they are welcomed with open arms. When someone that's progressive votes for the Democrats, it's completely erased. If we even critique the establishment, we get completely attacked. So I don't understand why they want to be like, oh, we have to unite. It's like, you first.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Stop being performative. Get stuff done if you want to keep us.
Well, it's like they're appealing to such a small, a
small margin of people.
yeah, their strategy of pulling people over from the right is a terrible one because it's not going to work. The whole Lincoln Project thing was a disaster. It was like the most least successful grift in history. They spent
Everyone was
all that
praising
money and it did nothing. It did nothing to help. You know, we got a couple of good memes out of it. I'll give them that.
it.
That's about it. Like the sign in New York, which is not contested at all, of Ivanka holding up the beans. That was funny. It didn't get us any votes, but it was funny, But the $1 billion that was probably spent,
Yeah.
huh?
So,
Yeah. There's no teeth to it. But yeah. What else?
oh, that's
Do
awesome, Gucci Bear.
you see? Have you followed Cori Bush at all?
No.
The Black Lives Matter activist that she got elected to Congress.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, she had a good clip the other day. See, I can pull it up here. It was a good. It made me actually fuck yeah, this is what we need in Congress. Hold on. Hey, I gotta go back and then switch it on. Yeah.
Up. Let me just say, we are fine. I have a relationship with all of the people on the caucus. A lot of them that are saying, that this was hurtful. But what's hurtful for me is the people in my community dying. What's hurtful is St. Louis being number one for police killing since 2013 for 6 years straight, according to some research that we keep when this happens. We have this super aggressive police department, and they don't get to continue to just kill Black folks in my community. And I'm not saying anything. So yes, defund your butt. Defund you. Take that money that we're using for MRAP, the money that we're using for tear gas and gear. We're going to take that money and put it into substance use programs. We're going to put it into education and mental health resources. We're going to take it and use it for our population. We are reallocating funds. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's interest, anybody from keeping their seats. That feelings don't look in that light. I'm trying to save lives. And this is not working up.
Isn't that what's crazy about that is you never see that kind of stuff out of congressmen.
No,
for the most part.
That was so extremely refreshing.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's so nice just to see people that aren't bought off and paid for, that just have actual she started as a Black Lives Matter activist in 2014. That's kind of her political roots, and it's nice to see people that have actual ideas and things they're actually pushing for, rather than just going with the flow in order to keep their seats so they can get that sweet taxpayer money. She has actual policy, even if you don't agree on everything, but she has an actual vision for how to make things better, and she's willing to talk about it. And and just people on TV talking about it, that moves the Overton window, because more people get familiar with these ideas and how they actually work.
Yep.
Yeah. Not getting it from a Facebook meme. Black Lives Matter is going to ruin your life.
Black Lives Matter is when white people don't be in America anymore.
Right.
Apparently.
BLM, more like George Soros.
Basically.
What?
I think there's the first time I saw that in a politician was Bernie Sanders. I remember I was so excited when I first learned about Bernie Sanders in 2016, and I was a senior in high school. I had never been so excited to vote, just because that was the first time I had seen a politician that I could see that they were genuine and actually cared about the people that they were serving, and they weren't just playing political ball. They weren't just out there, going for power. And it still kind of emotionally affects me. I know it's silly to say, to see how absolutely screwed over Bernie Sanders gets consistently.
I hate all the exit polls show that every one of his policies was extremely popular with the people that voted. Yet all that happened the last 2 months of the election was they shit on the left. Both like every debate was just the left getting shit on,
Yeah.
even though all those policies are popular.
It like, I mean, I wonder what we can do in America to like get people to start like separating the person from the policy. Because I mean, the best way to win an election is to just like smear your opponent, be like they are like a sex pest or something, like just to completely discredit them and like make ad hominem attacks, like how they had to go ahead and bring Hunter Biden into it, which like is fine because
Right. Well, it would have been fine if there was anything there. I mean, we all know that Hunter Biden traded off his name. Duh. But the problem with that is, huh?
He's just a fail son. That's it. There's like, it's a nothing burger. He just is not.
Right. It's like, well, yes, Hunter Biden traded off his name, but so does every other son of every other politician. It's standard Washington corruption that it just happens to be legal. Orrin Hatch's son has been a lobbyist for 30 years trading off his dad's name, but I don't see the GOP up in arms about that. And it's standard corruption, which sucks, but, when the other side is doing the same and worse, it's kind of hard for them to bitch about it. All right, so we got a few people in the chat. Anybody got any questions to me or TikTok superstar Tori?
You're bigger than me on TikTok. Oh hush.
But you're
I'm growing.
It sounds good. Sounds like I have an established celebrity guest.
I'm established TikTok starlight Tori. I was about to say my full name, and I was like, no, we don't say our full names.
Yeah, we don't do that. Yeah, especially on my stream, because you never know what kind of crazy conspiracy theorist is watching.
Yeah.
They're probably identifying your dresser in the back, like, I know the store that was bought at. So she lives in a 14-mile radius on the south side of Seattle or something. I don't know.
Ooh.
Okay.
Way to drink coffee.
What's your favorite way to drink coffee? Hard hitting stuff.
I'm partial to cold brew. So the people that are here, because I announced it on Discord, I am a barista while I'm saving up to go to law school or grad school. I don't know yet. So that is why that was asked.
Oh, okay. Do you work at Starbucks then?
I used to, but now I work at an independent cafe company. Oh, cafe company. I just work at an independent brewery.
I missed the beginning. Did we talk about Biden's option on the election? I think so.
Briefly.
Yeah. Cold brew is the best. Okay. Cold brew is based. We have established.
Cold brew is based.
Cold brew slaps. Okay. I get given a thing that gets in my way. Okay. I need to go to the grocery store. Cold brew suggestions. I don't know. That's the
Make your
barista.
Own.
Make your own.
It's really easy to make cold brew, actually. Cold coffee. Ew. We got a cold brew heater in here.
So we're not getting many non-coffee based questions. Anybody else?
Give us some.
Give us some non-coffee based questions.
What do you think Biden?
Do you guys think Biden's got this? Yeah, I mean, do we think the lawsuits are going to do anything? Is that what you're asking?
Because I don't think so. Because like Trump's lawyers are like scrambling and they're just not doing it.
Yeah, most definitely not. The lawsuits, Time actually, I thought about making a video about this. Time actually did a good piece on and laid out all the specifics of each lawsuit, and the ones that he's even filing, even if he was to get favorable rulings, and most of them, it wouldn't matter. Like the things that he is suing for, it wouldn't even matter. Like it's like
not going to
8
impact
cases.
whether or not, yeah.
Yeah, it's about like eight cases about like 14 ballots in this state or 16 ballots in this county. Like it's a bunch of horse shit.
I mean, I don't know if y'all have watched John Oliver's video on it, but like it just shows like how much like their cases are being dismissed because it's just nothing.
Yeah. No, it's yeah, he's already got like 16 losses at this point, like 16 suits that he's lost. And even the one Kayleigh McEnany went on TV last night and said, "We have all these signed affidavits." This ended up being a bunch of horse shit and lies, and it already got thrown out in Arizona. That's how quick that happened. I seen do you think we should form a third party to challenge the election or focus on work outside of the election? I personally don't think a third party is viable, just because there's no support for it. You would have to
Not right now, yeah.
Yeah, you would have to create an entire structure to help uplift a third party. If Joe Jorgensen was to somehow surprise win the election, she has no help in Congress, no help in the Senate, no PACs, no messaging, no serious messaging campaign with any money behind it. It's a long way from I think from a third party ever being viable.
I think the best shot we have if we're talking it from an electoralist perspective is shifting the ideology of the Democratic Party further and further left, more progressive. And I think we should also, I mean, like, for those of y'all that don't know, I'm like a pretty radical person. So I'm very pro mutual aid and getting involved with like your local DSA chapter or something, because and it's actually it's very rewarding being able to volunteer, help homeless people, provide free childcare, whatever little thing you can do in your community, because like a lot of people don't think that's political, but that is very political, because a lot of these policies and a lot of the failures of the government have put these people that are either homeless or these undocumented people that are suffering in this situation in the first place. So, I mean, look up your local mutual aid organization to see how you can get involved in like local politics, because politics feel, especially on a federal level, feel very inaccessible to the people right now. And we need to start realizing that like we can just, go out for half a day on the weekend and help people. And we have done a radical political action, and it's really good. Because while we're waiting for the big heads to do whatever they're going to do, we need to be improving the material conditions of our fellow brothers, sisters, and non-binary siblings, like however we can. So I'm based in South Texas. So I do a lot of outreach with undocumented people, teaching English, and then also just like helping with my food bank, giving homeless people's meals, or whatever we can. So get involved. Volunteer.
And another thing, if you're with DHS, Democratic Social, DSA. I'm sorry, I'm part of one and I don't fucking know how to say it.
It's all good.
But if you're part of a DSA chapter, or you're working are meeting people on a person-to-person level, you'll do way more to bring them over to your side of the political spectrum and get them to understand your ideas way better than you ever can on the internet. I probably did more bringing people over to the progressive side of politics, door knocking for Bernie, than I ever will do on the internet. It's like a person-to-person, explaining to them, talking about, why I support what I support. Like on a human level, you're much more likely to get people to see your side of things than over like a Facebook comment.
Yeah, conversations are much more effective means of radicalization than debates are. And then also, like, if you join your local DSA chapter, you can get involved in a reading group, because I'm the leader of, like, my DSA's reading group, and we're reading a lot of political theory right now, and it's a fun time because people are like, wow, this thing that I, like, didn't learn about in college, I'm learning about it now. So you get more educated.
What's your favorite political meme word? Either grifter or LARPer.
I like based because it gives me a lot of serotonin whenever people comment it. That's my favorite kind of comment, is like no critique, no engagement, just saying based. I'm like, yes, this is true. I am very based.
Have any of you two humans debated a TikTok right winger? I haven't. I'm not much one for debates. I'll have good conversations with people. I'm thinking about having a couple people on live stream that I know, like, personally, and trying to talk them off of their crazy right wing ledge. But I don't really like debate. I'm not a debate bro.
I personally, like, I have not debated TikTok right wingers, and I don't plan on doing that, just because, again, I don't think it's a very productive means for radicalization or education. Because, I mean, the thing about certain TikTok right wingers is that they are fascist, and when you do debate them on a public platform, you are ultimately platforming a fascist, and that's not okay, because that means you have the possibility of spreading their ideas more, and I don't think that's very responsible. I also think, like, certain types of, like, debate for entertainment is super performative, when you could just be, like, having a conversation with, like, a neoliberal and being like, hey, come on over.
It's extremely performative, and that's why I don't think it ever changes. Really, maybe some of the people that are really good at it, like, I'm sure Vosh and all of his videos has changed a few people's minds, but on, like, a micro scale, it's kind of pointless, you know.
Yeah.
Like, it, you know, nobody watches a Tyler Bluntman debate and is like, oh yeah, you know, like, it just, they come away with a fucking, like, headache. Do you think Biden has more of a backbone than he may appear, like Teddy Roosevelt? Speak softly, yet carry a big stick. I think Biden has a better chance of getting some things done in certain areas more than Obama, just because, like I said earlier, Obama was a politician that didn't like politics. I think Joe's more like a man's man. Like, you know, he'll get in there and sit down with Mitch McConnell and, like, you know, tell him kind of, you know, here's what we're expecting. And, you know, one thing about Obama is he, like, really tried to preach his worldview to everybody, and here's why you should agree with me, as opposed to just saying, like, hey, this is what we're doing. And I think if Biden actually wants to push progressive policies, I think he has a decent shot at it. I just don't know if he will. You know, jury's still out. So
yeah, because I think I wish I could answer your question, because for me it has yet to be seen. Just the way that, you know, he's kind of separated himself from his own party platform kind of makes me think that he doesn't have the most backbone, but he definitely, like, does know, like, I've said this, like, I've said political ball so many times, but he knows how to play political ball. He knows how to do that. So if we can get him to push progressive policies while playing ball, then, you know, that's good for us.
Right-wing populism. Do you see any one thing change faster? It's so hard when things are gerrymandered. Yeah, and that's gerrymandering is one thing that does not get enough attention, but it's just so important. And that, you know, power begets power, and the more the Republicans have power, the harder it is to take it away from them. And unfortunately, we didn't do so great at the state level, and they're going to be redistricting, and a lot of these places are Republican majority, and we're going to have a hard time with a lot of these new maps.
I mean, like, Republicans are, like, honestly kind of masked off about how much voter suppression they want to do. Like, they love doing voter suppression because I forgot who was it, but they think that they're the moral majority, which means that their vote counts more than, like, a progressive voters. Like, they think theirs is, like, more valid, even though the majority of the country is probably very progressive. They just want to, you know, keep the vote out of the people's hands.
Right. They want to put like every Democrat in one district, and that that's a reason you see the maps the way they are. These districts are so oddly drawn. And the weird thing is they call it gerrymandering, but like it's based off this guy who his name was like Aldrich Gary, but it's called like the name doesn't match the person that did it, but basically he wrote something and it looked like a salamander, and somebody said, "Oh, it looks like a salamander," and the guy's like, "Oh no, a gerrymander," and that's where it gets its name from. But it's very important, and that's another thing that Republicans are very good at that the Democrats miss, and that's one of the reasons that we just made Georgia blue is that they focus on a state level. Like campaigns are a 24/7 thing nowadays. Like you
Yeah.
have to work on the state and local issues when it's not election time so that you can get people out to vote, you can get them registered, you can get them involved in the process. And that's one thing the right's always good. There's always some bill or something where they got to push people in this direction and get them out and get them involved. Like they're very involved for being the the vast minority. Like it's
Mhm.
I'd say it's 60-40 as far as people that are Republicans or Democrats. A lot of people don't really consider themselves either, but I would say we have a 60-40 lean, yet we're pretty conservative as a country when it comes to policy. And that's because they're fucking good at politics.
They're good at convincing you that
Mhm.
the public option, not even like free healthcare for all, but just the public option is like
Mhm.
straight up socialism, USSR level communism.
I'm actually surprised at how well the Joe Biden is a socialist worked.
I
It just shows how how easy it is
was
for
like, I wish, man, like
yeah,
it just
like it shows how easy like a simple message can work. Like Joe Biden is a socialist.
well, I mean, that's
Completely
one thing
untrue,
about
but it's not. It has a little ring to it.
politics is like American politics is really good at taking these buzzwords and just completely erasing the meaning of whatever buzzword it is. Like we've seen this with identity politics. We've seen this with the phrase cancel culture. Cancel culture is now just when you're mean to me. That's what cancel culture means now.
Right. Yeah. Cancel culture is if you have an opposite opinion of the person that's having the take.
Right.
I see like all these celebrities that are like, "Oh, we have to stop cancel culture." Like, who got canceled? Because Louis C.K., who did some really weird shit with women, is touring and has like HBO specials. So who'd we cancel? Harvey Weinstein? Oh yeah, such a fucking
Wow.
horrible thing
Oh
that
my
he got
goodness.
canceled. Like
What
he's a
a-
felon. That's why he got canceled. Like nobody is getting canceled. You know what it is? It's like an easy, cheap line that comedians can use. Like,
Oh yeah.
we're so
And like,
sensitive.
oh my
And
goodness,
I'm like,
I'm committing a thought
discourse.
crime. It's like, no, you're not. I'm like, I'm just looking for where the government is involved because you said something transphobic on Twitter. That's not a thought crime. Like, who is
Right.
policing you? It's just a bunch of us on Twitter being like, hey, that thing that you said wasn't very pogger, sir. So, like,
Right.
like, I don't.
Some more news had a good video about how cancel culture is bullshit. It's pretty good. You ever watch him, Cody?
I
Some more
do.
news.
Sometimes I watch it. Speaking of
Yeah.
which, I completely forgot that I have an entire series for roasting you based off of your favorite leftist content creator. Because some more news is supposed to be in part 5, and I just completely abandoned that series. I need to make it soon, actually.
Yeah, that was the first video of yours I ever saw.
Yeah, like that's the one that like kind of like started to blow me up a little bit.
Catapulted you a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's see. We'll do one more question here. Do you see one that
Let's see. Why did
catches
Francis
your eye?
say-
How about this one? This one's pretty interesting.
Okay.
Okay, that's okay. You're just saying that. That wasn't a question. Okay.
Well, I mean, do you want to discuss like why it is?
Yeah, no, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can argue that fascists have made their platform more accessible than the left in many ways, sadly. Good take, Tony. I agree. You wanna go first, or no?
Yeah, I mean, well, because fascists appeal to this sort of like fascism is fear mongering. So if you make people scared, they're more likely to join you because it's like, oh, you get the sense of community and brotherhood because like we're all fighting for the same thing. So it's like more accessible to people because you don't have to know science, you don't have to listen to all of these experts, you don't have to know all of these theory. All you have to know is that you want to protect your brothers and white women, apparently.
Right. It relies on a strong man to be like, I will be the savior of all your problems. Just give the power to me, and I will take care of it. And that Trump is that he kind of exudes that because he just I'm gonna fix it. I alone can fix it. Don't listen to anybody else. Everybody else is fake. I'm what you should listen to. I should make all the rules. Nobody should be able to stop me. And the people are like, yeah, no, I want to get my news from him. I want him to make the policies. And the people that follow Trump and that are down that on that side of the spectrum, they just preach, very simple, easy buzzwords like we've been talking about, and people can latch onto that. It's like, well, I don't know, maybe people should have health care, but I mean,
But I
they're
don't want
more
to
like
be jailed
terrorists
for
and
thought
stuff.
crime.
So, and the left, I mean, I guess they like terrorists and Antifa and burning down small businesses, and that's not American. So I'm going to go with these guys over here because that's what they preach. Oh, they're anti-American. They want to change America because they hate America. We're red, white, and blue. We're God-fearing Christian Americans, and that's the party we are. It's like I don't know about that, but it sounds good if you're just looking at it from outside in. Like, well, these guys say they love America, and these guys just said a bunch of big words and said like, well, America's maybe not that great in some ways. So I don't
You
know. I
know,
love America. So
yeah, it's easier to digest. I mean, like, and then also they're able to prey on people's prejudices. I mean, Donald Trump gets up here and says some questionable things about Mexican people, but then, like, those people that are like, well, I've seen Mexicans, not work before. Like, I mean, like, for example, there is a strip in downtown that we work a lot with in my mutual aid group where it's like a bunch of undocumented people that are like waiting in a corner, waiting to like do, some work, some like handy jobs or something like that. And, people will drive around, and see that. And then, they will develop prejudice because of that. And then they see someone like Donald Trump be like, hey, I have this same politically incorrect belief as you do. They're like, oh, I'm not weird. I'm not a bad person. This person also has this opinion that I do. So, I mean, like, they're very relatable. I mean, like, it's kind of like when people laugh at dark humor, there's this weird sense of camaraderie because we share this prejudiced belief.
and it's I think the best way to sum it up is the fascists give easy solutions to complex problems, and that's what they latch on to the most. And it's not that you're bad, or any of your problems are your fault. It's because Mexicans are coming over, you're taking your job, or it's because yeah, you're not bad for saying that slur. It's just the liberals are trying to cancel everybody. It's
Yeah.
they always just take the complex and water it down into my way's the best, and here's why. I think that's yeah, that's my take on it anyway, and that's why all the social media is a constant landmine or minefield of horseshit.
And I think that's one thing we need to like take into account because when moving forward as the left, now that Joe Biden is in office, is making sure that the way that we communicate our ideas is accessible and easy to understand.
Yeah, no, we need to communicate better and more often.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like the left has given up on a lot of people that they shouldn't. Because I mean, you shouldn't give up on anybody. There are some people that are too far gone, but there's really a lot of people that they just haven't heard the ideas yet. There's still tons of people that don't understand what Black Lives Matter, the movement, is trying to do because they've heard the propaganda. Just a week or two ago, my own sister was like, "Well, yeah, but where does the money go?" I mean, I heard, she was still repeating,
Where's the money,
she's
darling?
on the left, but she has right-wing friends, and she was still confused as to what was actually going on with the money and the donations, just all that stuff. It's yeah, it can flow very quickly. Bad ideas, they're easier to digest than complicated ones.
Yeah.
But all right, yeah. Thanks you guys for coming and hanging out with us. Thank you to TikTok star Tori for coming to the inaugural live stream.
Thank
I
y'all for
really
having me
appreciate you
on.
guys. Links to everything are down in the description. Discord, social media. I think I put Tori's TikTok down there too. If not, I'll add it afterwards. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it. Peace out. Yeah.